Welcome back everyone to Padova, the spring invite. We've got mixed division action for you. PUC from Paris taking on Tiefseetaucher from Munich in Germany. Benji Rees back with you here. Spring invite weekend. PUC in the white jerseys and Tiefseetaucher in the navy. Nice little inside-out shot there on the precipice of the end zone. PUC with the reset back. Cutting this way and that. Polieri gets the disc. Sending it towards the break side for Kusi. Couldn't quite get it all the way into the end zone. Looking for the red zone stand. It's not going to come through though. PUC coming towards the front of the end zone, uncovering themselves and taking the 1-0 lead here. PUC, I think, been a fixture of European Ultimate the past few years. Were mixed Masters champions at the European Masters Ultimate Championships held in Wrocław a couple of years ago. Tiefseetaucher, maybe a name unfamiliar to more of you, but based in Munich, kind of the open side there, MUC, the Munich Ultimate Club, and Wood Cheekers, multiple time European champions, although not in recent times. They've combined here to go into the mixed division. We've seen quite a few mixed clubs kind of do the opposite and go into open and women's, but Munich combining their forces here and with a very strong roster, and certainly a team to look out for, not just this weekend but over the course of the season. They could be right at the thick of things at the business end. Deep shot there for Tiefseetaucher on the edge of the end zone. Hernschmeyer just looking for that little forcing pass. Comes short towards the front of the end zone. Clean hold there to Hermiking for Tiefseetaucher. Tiefseetaucher unbeaten from their 4 games so far. 15-12 win over the reigning European champions, Deep Space, who not at full strength this weekend, missing a few of their GB players on the women's side, but still a very good win regardless. Beat Hungary's Heroes 15-9, a 15-4 win over the Owls before 15-9 they beat Mosquitoes. For PUC, they've played 5 games, 4 victories and 1 defeat. Beat AKSY from Poland 15-8, 15-3 win over Colorado from Karlsruhe in Germany. 14-10 they dispatched BN1, which is the postcode for Brighton in the UK, and then a good win to finish things off yesterday. 15-3 over Austria's Wunder team, but they went down in Universe this morning, 13-12 to the Kuz Padova Rangers. Heartbreaking one, that one. They're up 11-9 and then went on to lose 13-12. No turnovers yet so far. Here's a shot down the sideline. I don't think this is going to stay in, and that is going to be the first. Linnea Seibert was not going to take any chances. And begins the possession with the reset into the centre. Here's Seibert catching underneath, thinking about maybe going down the line, but not seeing an option she likes until threading the inside flick through. Now a little bit more motion, and that one just the edge, continued to take it agonizingly out of reach. It looked like it would be good, but it just never quite fell nicely for the German receiver. A little bit of a pop-up there. Paul tries to get a hand in, but can't. Coin. Into traffic, picked off by Seibert, and now Seibert runs a little bounce off stops. Under wide open at the back is the Biosport. Coin tried her best to get in there, but against a much taller matchup in better position, it was always going to be Borks to win. And the first break of the game goes to the Germans. Tiefseetaucher take a 2-1 lead. There's the overthrow that gave them the disc back. And Seibert doing the right thing here, not wasting time. Goes forward, gets it back, and then opens up the arm. And Bork on the board. It's an interesting format with the spring invites. Schedule's written in such a way that basically that every team gets 6 games, and there's not necessarily a tournament winner at the end of the day, which is a little bit unusual, but again, designed in a way so everyone gets the same number of games in. You know, trying to play as many different opponents as possible. Just trying to make sure that you've got that connectivity there, and obviously first tournament of the season, so we'll kind of have a lot of individual pockets as it sits at the end of things with the 5 spring invites going on, as well as coverage here. We've got Grenoble, London, Malmo and Brno. Not every division at every event. As here's the deep shot down the far side. Maeva Kusi, clearly one of their main outlets for in the deep space, but just a little tap of the chest there from Tazio Torrieri, saying that was on me. I should have put a better throw out there. That one's going to pop up, and whoa, did very well to avoid a heftier collision there. Good hands shown from Spieler. Here's a deep shot coming. They're looking for Hermiking again, and Hermiking has her second goal of the game. Another Tiefseetaucher break. After going down 1-0, 3 on the bounce for the Germans. Put themselves not in control of the game necessarily, but certainly it's a very strong start here. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all comes together, because a lot of this Tiefseetaucher side was playing in the mixed division for Germany last year at EUC. So obviously they will have that chemistry already. So we're going to get an early timeout here, it seems. I think PUC probably quite sagely utilising the opportunity just to come up with a new game plan, formulate some thoughts in the mind. Trailing 3-1 to Tiefseetaucher at Spring Invite in Padova. Tiefseetaucher 3, PUC 1 here at the Spring Invite in Padova, mixed division action. Tiefseetaucher undefeated on the weekend, 4 wins, 0 losses. PUC with a 4-1 record coming into this game, suffering their only loss on Universe this morning sudden death. They went down 13-12 to the Rangers from here in Padova. Sure, a victory that would have pleased the home support, although certainly wouldn't have pleased PUC. But good to get kind of crunch reps in at the start of the season. Of course, even if you come on the wrong side of them, it can teach you a lot about who you are as a unit. Paulin Lamboles swings into the centre. Now as it is back in her clutches. Dubourdin. Oh, a little floater, and it drops into that soft spot with no one in there. Lamboles and Queen were both trying to just pick that one up, but it wasn't to be. Michael Remy picks up. Seibert. Back to Remy. After just one early miscue, Tiefseetaucher seem to have found their range again, but looking a bit stagnant here. That one tipped on the mark. You could really hear and see the deviation on that disc. A big old slap down on it. And now here's the deep shot. That's ambitious, too ambitious. Dubourdin was trying to take advantage of the quick turnover from the hand block. Roger Mikhail. And they're going to take the disc from where it went out the field of play because it never came back in. 237s marking up against each other. Lamboles on the force for Seibert, but she gets the throw off down the line where Spieler lays out to make the snag. Back to Seibert, who catches the sinking disc and sits it out towards the break side for Remy. Remy wants to float that one over the top, utilising the width of the field so well, just pinging it from one side to the other, stretching them horizontally as well as vertically, and over the top, locked it to Nora Pole, and 4-1 now to Tiefseetaucher. Remy just puts the air underneath it, defenders on the wrong side, and Pole tracks it well towards the back of the end zone for the score. Whatever PUC had concocted during the timeout, it clearly has not quite done the trick just yet. Not really much that Tiefseetaucher have to change at the moment. The owners very much on PUC to find a way to make things work. Switching players through, trying to find that winning combination here, the French. Break to Joe Gates. On the sideline, the bid comes in but doesn't get it. PUC's offense looking quite compressed at the moment. They have pulled out some deep shots and they haven't really worked, and I think they could tell that the pressure was mounting. Maybe run through D, gets it, and the throw was dropping, but it carried all the way into the end zone, and that is going to be the bookends there for Tobias Bork, his second of the game, getting the D, and then instantly wanting to strike while the iron is hot, burning towards the end zone, and the throw was tried and true. I think the intended receiver of that one just slows up a little bit because he thinks it's not going, but continues through with the cut, and that allows Bork to close the gap, and with the defender out of position, continues all the way through to the end zone. And all Dieterle can do is watch the disc sail into the receiver's hands. My word, that ball fielded very low to the ground, but nerves of steel. Of course, if you drop the ball, that is a turnover. Maybe the worst way to turn it over. Ubro. Player suspiciously open underneath, and I think there'd been a pick earlier in the play. Just going to be checked in. Swinging towards the far side. Illustrating, just wanted a little motion with it. Again, underneath, tight coverage, but sticking the catch this time. Cusi. Castorieri. Wonderful inside break just to open up so much lateral space for them. Quinn, who's battled back well from knee injuries. Great to see her back out there. Ubron. Torieri coming short. Going outside the end zone, desperately trying to see if you can find a way through. Doesn't though. Ubron collects the little dish off and then in towards the end zone. Roger Michael is turning out to be a huge player for them this weekend. 6 assists and 7 goals from the 5 games so far coming into this contest, and notches another goal there. Puts the French back on the board. Still in a bit of a hole here though, down 5-2. With the new change to the way qualification works for EUCF this year, the European Ultimate Championship Finals, of course, at the end of the season, to the algorithm-based structure, every result and every point counts. So even if you take a heavy deficit at the start of a game, you cannot afford to give up the ghost, because it could come down to the very finest margins, and a point here or there could decide whether or not you make it to EUCF or not. So fascinated to see how the rankings take shape after this weekend and over the course of the season. Looking like some zone this time from PUC. They're going to try something a little bit different to get Tiefseetaucher's offense out of rhythm, because it's been looking pretty smooth and faultless so far. Contact on the mark, accepted. So it's going to stay as a German disc here. utilising the over-the-top backhand there to get past the front line of that defence. Holzer to Hernschmeyer. Now the World Games player Hernschmeyer back towards the far side for Holzer. Originally an alternate, but came in when Holger Beutenmüller wasn't fit enough to play. And down the line there from Holzer. Glocker, no trouble with that one, 6-2. Already just 2 points away from the half here. I appreciate the trying something different defensively there from PUC because, you know, obviously you'll have a few things in the locker and, you know, while, you know, the results and the points do matter, the early season is definitely the time to try those things out, improve them, shape them, sharpen them. And it could be that it just seems to have that secret sauce that really outfoxes and flummoxes your opponent, but on that possession at least, was not a problem for Tiefseetaucher. Again, that ball dropping and bravely and boldly caught, and if you do catch it, it does allow your offence to get off to the races a bit quicker. Of course, with the severe cost if you drop it off the turnover. If you let it hit the ground first, you've got, well, you're never going to turn it over, but you might put the offence in a bad situation as a drop there, and we've seen Tiefseetaucher do this a couple of times, just taking advantage of maybe miscommunication, players on the floor and stops, goes quickly towards the end zone where Gavin strides into green grass in front of him downfield, and it's 7-2 now for Tiefseetaucher, really demonstrating that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with over the course of this season, at least on the evidence we've seen today. There, the player coming behind and trying to adjust his hands for the throw. Torrieri thinks maybe I can get a bid at rescuing this, but he went for it, and because neither he nor Tahar could get there, it meant that there was no one stopping the throw, no one covering the sealer, and that is easy money for Stops and Andrew Gavin. PUC taking advantage of the free swings they've been given. Now going into the centre, they've still got a player on that near side. If he'd stopped in the space, could have used him, but instead he clears all the way through. Torrieri. Underneath to Coyne. To Michael. And Ubron. Surveying, he sees the inside window. It was there, but he got the edge wrong. Came out with that outward in shape, so taking it away from the receiver, whereas he wanted the inside out, kind of rotating the wrist down a little bit, cutting it across his body, so it comes across him and then just sits there and trails back into the receiver a little bit rather than taking it away from him. Going to give Tiefseetaucher a chance to break for half. Diagonal set away from the handler, gives him space to get that big slashing cut for a huge gainer down the line to Borg. He's got a couple of goals already this game. This time they're going underneath. Zipped in to Justin Wallace there. You see with the double zeros on his back and choosing not to have his name as they flow it into Borg. Another goal. 8-2 Tiefseetaucher leading PUC at half. This has been absolutely ruthless. Almost stereotypically, characteristically so from the Germans. They just have not let PUC breathe at all. It seems like pretty much every miscue has been pounced upon and punished so quickly. And it doesn't look like a side that's, used to playing single gender necessarily, combining the open and women's sides from Munich and doing it to devastating effect. 8-2, Taucher leading PUC here at half-time in the mixed division at Spring Invite in Padova. Here's a replay of the final score. And we're going to dish it off now. I can just lead this one into the end zone for PUC. Tiefseetaucher up on PUC here. Mixed division action from the Spring Invite in Padova. One of 5 Spring Invites going on this weekend, as well as mixed and open division action here in Italy. We've got mixed division from Malmo, women's division from London, open and women's in Grenoble, and open action in Brno as well. And while it might be a little too early at this stage to, really put a concrete ranking in place without really any connectivity between the Spring Invites, that'll begin to get filled in as the season goes on. And we can have the initial, club ranking update coming out tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock Central European time. So that's 7 o'clock BST, 2 p.m. US Eastern. You can adjust from there. And it'll be interesting to see how it all just breaks down after the first end of action here across the various invites. At the moment, Tiefseetaucher certainly putting their claim on being the top-ranked mixed side. Undefeated so far, 4 games, 0 losses, and up against a PUC side that has only lost once compared to 4 victories so far this weekend. They've raced into half with an 8-2 lead. Glasgow, undefeated in Malmo. They're putting their claim to being top of those rankings as well in the mixed division. Tiefseetaucher trying to compound the misery, beginning the second half on offense. Here's Holzer. Down the line, just like Tiefseetaucher, beginning the second half pretty much as they ended the first. Into the hands of Jan Vatrin. 9-2. Tiefseetaucher, absolutely mean business. The little bit of a break that half-time gave did not, apparently at least, disrupt any of their rhythm. For the thoughts of the PUC leadership at half-time, because realistically, obviously, if a team can win a half 8-2, then you could do the same in the second, but Tiefseetaucher have been playing so well that it's tough to see a way past them, and you're down in a hole, but you have to find ways to take as much as you can from the games, both from a learning perspective and, again, with the algorithm, with the ranking. You've got to keep games as close as possible. PUC's first chance at the disc in this second half. Coin has a player wide open on the far sideline. Finds Injai. Towards the end zone. Oh, that would have been a brilliant catch from Coin. She bangs the ground in frustration, sets high standards for herself. But that was a really tricky catch to stick as it's sinking and going with the right hand there. The spin might be taking it out of there. And it's been that kind of game in a way for PUC. Quite Japanese in style, beginning with that diagonal stack when they're on the sideline there, PUC. Take the instant swing into the centre just to create some lateral space. Inside throw, zip through. Sitting this one out towards the break side. Defender Coin tries to come in and flash up, but Sophie Rostuischer not phased by the oncoming defender at all. The throw led her into space, and another break for Tiefseetaucher. 10-2. It is getting late early here for PUC. Just puts that one out towards the break side. Green tries to flash over from marking Seibert, but cannot get there quickly enough. Do have some other games going on in the mixed division at the moment here in Padova. On field 2, which is got VO coverage available, Mosquitoes of Austria are up 6-4 on BN1. While the reigning European champions Deep Space have a seed over Colorado from Karlsruhe in Germany. Been a mixed weekend for the reigning champions. Lost their first game to 15-12 to Tiefseetaucher. Rebounded with a 15-1 victory over Heroes, 15-6 over the Owls, and then went down on Universe to Mosquitoes 12-11. And it just goes to show that, you know, last year doesn't count for anything. It doesn't guarantee you a spot. You need to play your hardest, play your best, and really earn your way back at the end of the season. Nice pass into space there for Lamboles. Hubron trying to put that one out there. Oh, he sat down and waited it beautifully. And Lamboles will gratefully collect. Lovely for PUC to stop the skid. And that just gives them a little bit of a building point now in the second half. Finally back on the board. Still a huge deficit, 10-3. But now you can get your defense out there on the field. See if you can cause some trouble to the Tiefseetaucher offense. And maybe find a way back into the game.
Schade, geile wie. Ich habe heute keinen Spring. Ich mal ein paar Sprünge. Lieber nicht. Nein. Ja. Nein, da war es
Games played first to 15, or the cap comes on at 70 minutes, and what that means is that if no one's reached the 15-point cap by that point, you finish the point in progress, you add one to the highest score, and then that becomes the new score limit. The idea is that it kind of prevents games from dragging on in really unfavourable conditions. And it means that you can kind of keep the schedule running relatively to time, but it's also nice because it means that you have to get that final point in to win, and it allows for the possibility and potential of big late comebacks. Here's Emma King downfield, and Tiefseetaucher's offense once more has not missed a beat. The American Connor O'Brien with the score. been based in Germany for, just trying to do some maths here in my head, for a few years now at least. Seen him a lot with various teams out in Heidelberg, playing with Tiefseetaucher this season. PUC trying to put in back-to-back opens for the first time this game. Down the line there to Torrieri. Takes a little swing to Taha. Taha, all contested catch, well stuck by Torrieri. Going to collect the reset back from the offhand. Kusi just outside the end zone, and PUC finally able to get a bit of offensive rhythm. Jeremy Taha with the score. Huge amount of work though for PUC to flip the script and come back and win in this game, and you feel like that might be beyond them. We know they are a side with quality, but just Tiefseetaucher looking so hard to stop in this game at least. If you can make those adjustments, you know, you've got one more game so far this weekend. It's a long season as well, so something that I was told by one of my coaches a long time ago was, even if you lose the game, make sure you don't lose the lessons. There's still a lot you can take, things you can work on. What was good, what didn't go so well, how can we change that? Was it making mistakes? Did we have something more systemic with the way we were setting up? Were they getting the same sorts of blocks? Or are we making the same sorts of mistakes? How can we adjust our resources, our strategies, our tactics, our mentality to prevent this from happening again? As that pull going to land out of play on the far sideline, and when the pull lands out of bounds, you can either take it from the point, the nearest point where it left the field, or alternatively you can bring it in at the brick mark, which is in the centre of the pitch about a third of the way up, and you signal that by raising your hand above your head, and that is what Tiefseetaucher have chosen to do here. As Hernschmeyer slashes underneath, a couple of players go long, but Hernschmeyer looking a little bit isolated, but clears out a big space in the centre. Well done by the German offence. And Hernschmeyer gets it back. Oh, that one I thought was going to be a little bit low, but stayed up to Hermicking. The latest in an ultimate playing family. As Hernschmeyer's throw a little bit behind the big man Holzer. It's a missed opportunity and a rare error for Tiefseetaucher. Maybe this is PUC's chance to come back in this game. Don't necessarily run strict O and D lines, the French. We'll mix things up. Break down this near sideline. Clearly inbounds there. Dubondin. Trying for that big break backhand again. And he asked too much of his target. Again, I like the intent, because I think they see, especially on the turn, there are those opportunities to get in behind the German defence, but it's a really tough throw. You're trying to break the mark tight towards the sideline. You do not give yourself a huge margin for error. And unfortunately for the Parisians, they weren't able to get it there. can see on the camera the slightly inhospitable atmospheric conditions, rain and wind, so something the sides have to factor in here in Padova. It's the Germans now at midfield. Out into space towards the near side. Dumped back to the imposing figure of Dennis Holzer. Holzer's just going to put a bit of air underneath it. Bernschmeyer has the better position, the better opportunity to read it and bring it in, and he does. Now continuing the break, the bid comes in, a valiant attempt from Francie Meyer. But execution wasn't there on the throw. PUC not able to make the most of the opportunity. Going to give Tiefseetaucher a short field again as the rain pounds down ever heavier. Short throw, bobbled. Tried to get it at the second attempt but couldn't. Quick pick up on the turn, putting it deep. And I think somewhat understandably here, both sides getting some slightly sloppier errors coming in, and Duboudin was very isolated downfield. He's going to call the timeout, give PUC an opportunity at a break chance. They're already beyond midfield, and if they want to find a way back into this game, they absolutely need to take this. Can they avoid the curse of the turnout? We'll find out when we return here at the Spring Invite in Padova. You're watching coverage from the Spring Invite here in Padova, live on Solid Sport, the home of European Ultimate this season. Felix very dutifully manning the camera in the heavy rain here on the LTTV production. Those of you kind of unfamiliar with whereabouts Padova is in the province of Padua in Italy, it's just a little bit west of Venice, up in the northeast of the country, on the Adriatic coast. Off the timeout, PUC bring in the disc. Trying to get with that inside flick. Brack to Lamboles. Dishes back off to Duboudin, who brought the disc in off the timeout. And now in Lamboles' gloved hands once more as there's another pick downfield. Defender unable to keep touch with her matchup, other players getting in the way. You see the hand signal, arms outstretched, arms at right angles. Way of stop, and she is allowed to catch up. Just past the bidding figure of Bernschmeyer. He's out of position, might give an opportunity for the pass to come off downfield. His hat's come off and he doesn't seem to mind. As another pick just outside the end zone. You can see players maybe a little bit close together, and you don't actually have to make contact for the pick to be called. Obviously, at Ultimate is a non-contact sport. The idea is that if you see it coming, you can stop and then call the pick to prevent any collisions happening. Brack finds D'Italy on the break side, the American looking to bounce it out, use that short area quickness. Pops up the break side, disc. Back in the hands of Brack. really trying to marshal and quarterback the offense here. Deedley. See the little eye black underneath, just reducing any potential glare, although given the conditions I'm not sure necessarily that he needs it at the moment. Trying to get the high release, lefty over the mark, but Holzer is a big man, and that is a brave option. And Holzer stuffs him. Swings towards the far side. Plenty of space now. Defenders for PUC out of position. Able to recover slightly. Very least come up the downfield movement. So the swing goes to Vatrin. Into the gut of Meyer. Back to Holzer. Holzer initiates Hernschmeyer from the front. Little just easy backhand into the end zone. That's the toughest Tiefseetaucher have been made to work this game, defensively and offensively as well. PUC making things a little bit tougher, but the defender there was just caught on her heels a little bit. And as soon as you see that ground towards the open side, Hernschmeyer is going to make you pay 7 days a week. 12-2, Tiefseetaucher leading now. Like the score cap at 15, I don't think we'll get to the 17-minute time cap at this rate, unless of course PUC can continue to show a little bit of spark here, despite the wet weather. Hello to everyone watching, whether you're maybe getting some scouting on the ground in Padova, you're back in Paris or Munich or elsewhere around the world. Thank you for tuning in to the Spring Invite in Padova, one of 5 spring invites going on this weekend. As well as Padova, open and mixed action here. Action from Grenoble, Brno, Malmo and London, as PUC looking for the deep game once more. Defender should have position on that one, and Borg rips it down. Didn't give any shot there to the receiver, and he's going to get an opportunity maybe to go deep himself here. Wouldn't be his first bookends of the point, and he is the option with the deep shot. Has he read that one well? Oh, it sank like a stone at the very end. I'm not sure he was in the end zone or not. He signals goal. The players on field agree. A second bookends of the game for Tobias Borg. I think that's his 4th goal in total. 13-4. He did really well to adjust at the end of that, because it looked like it had easy juice, and then maybe the wind just pushed it towards the floor, and it's a really tough adjustment to get down low that quickly when you're that close to it as well, because you can't extend fully with the layout. You just have to try your best to scoop and bend down quickly. Linnea Seibert with the throw, and maybe just about in the end zone. It's tricky to tell from the angle, but the fact that no one on field seems to dispute it means they're all happy with it, and that is the most important thing. What I think here doesn't matter at all. It's all about the players on field coming to a resolution that they're happy with, and they were happy that Borg was in the end zone for the score. PUC going to begin this possession on that far sideline. The disc lands in bounds and then rolls out. You don't get the option off the brick. You do have to take it from where it went out. Tahar. Swings and then continuation to Torrieri. Has to do a lot of work in the backfield for Paris. As he swings back to Tahar. Michael Tahar Torrieri, the 3 in the back line at the moment. And Tiefseetaucher just gumming any downfield movement and eventually forcing the error, just continual lateral passes, playing the percentage game, trusting that at some point one of those would come out a little bit wonky, especially in the wet conditions. And Tiefseetaucher got their wish. They're going to pick it up just across the halfway line here. Chance to go within 1 of victory. Again, utilising that diagonal setup downfield, leaving the handler isolated in the backfield. Wallace dishes it back off. That one is going to sit and float, and Taha was in the better position. Stops, couldn't get to it. Now in transition, just a few bounces to get it towards the red zone. That final third of the field. A marking infraction, it seems, on the force. Not sure whether the player was a little bit close, but looks like it's accepted, and the stall count's going to reset from 1. For most marking infractions, the stall count drops 2, with the exception of contact, which resets it back to 0. And then for every subsequent marking infraction, it does go all the way back to 0 as Wallace tries to get the D, but he can't. Good focus there by Michael, and then swinging it through Queen to the end zone for Taha to make it 13-5. PUC staying alive in this one. And you can see the little bookend signal from the sideline that Taha was able to get his hand in there for the block and go eventually for the score as well. So a few players actually able to get the double happiness, as you'll also hear it called. In the other mixed power pool games going on currently here in Padova, Mosquitoes up 9-6 on BN1. Deep Space with a 10-8 lead over Colorado. Heroes Flying Disc of Hungary, I should say, lead Austria's Wunder team 9-4, and the Owls have a 7-6 lead over EUCS. And we mentioned that there is action as well from 4 other spring tours this weekend. Women's division action in London, mixed in Malmo. Grenoble has open and women's, and it's open in Brno as well. So much ultimate available for you here on Spring Invite Weekend. That throw pops up, and as a thrower you can't touch the disc until someone else has, and so just showed too much of that one to the wind. The underside too available, and PUC just slipping through the hands. A good opportunity to reduce the deficit. Goes begging. But Tiefseetaucher just struggling a little bit to close this game out. PUC have certainly improved, and that will please them no end. Tiefseetaucher some things to clean up. Reset back to Mai. You can see throws maybe just, they don't have that proper zip and torque on them. They're just coming out not quite as smoothly as they did before. The spacing off there so they can't get Holzer downfield. Bernschmeyer to Holzer. Wants to get the disc off the line here. Will be able to do so, as you can see that throw begin to rise, and maybe a bit again there, but twice able to adjust. Holzer and Hernschmeyer running the give-go between themselves. Hernschmeyer flicks off Verstindlich in the end zone, and then eventually sees the inside seam and exploits it to Mira Glocker. 14-5. Tiefseetaucher now within 1 of the victory. He's just threatens it towards the open side. The defender commits, and it's a little stutter to come back the other way. And as a force, it's tricky because you want to come all the way round to try and make sure that they can't throw the disc around you towards the closed side of the field. But The risk of doing that, of course, is that you open those little threads through, and there's not a huge amount of room to work with in the end zone, but when they were in that position, but by pushing the defender, not physically, but getting her to bite towards that far side, you just create that narrow seam to allow the force through, which Hernschmeyer found. And as a force, you think, okay, well, I don't want to allow that one to go, so maybe I'll come a little bit flatter, a little bit more straight out in front. But then, of course, you create the opportunity for the disc to go around you. It's where it's important to have that communication from the sidelines. Make sure you're on the same page so the force is getting as much help as possible. Communication is so key. This defense is hard enough it is when you're trying to play it without, trying to play on an island and not as a unit. Whipped forehand towards that far side. Sneaking that one through. Nice little slashing en passant cut beyond the handler there from Torrieri. Ubro. Back to Torrieri. Again, utilising the inside backhands well on this possession. Boutinon wants to go back to Torrieri. Looks like there's a call. Looks like everyone's in position. And Torrieri will check it back in himself with the ground tap. Again, just a little leader beyond Ubron, who catches one step outside the end zone. Can he find his way in? Just that ability to get free in a phone booth there, demonstrated by PUC, inching their way, matriculating slowly down the field. But they stick it in to Tazio Torrieri. And the Germans, Tiefseetaucher, will have to close this one out on offense, not able to get the break that would have sewn the game up there. 14-6 the current score. Still a little over 10 minutes before that time cap goes on, so regardless of whether we get there or not, it's absolutely game to 15 at this point. Because even if Tiefseetaucher were not able to close it out before then, add one to the highest score at that point, and that would be 15. Both sides have one game remaining so far. Have one game this weekend for PUC. In fact, this is their last game of the weekend. So they'll be able to go home, rest up, watch the footage back here on Solid Sport. Tiefseetaucher have one more game. They're up against the home side, the Kuz Padova Rangers, who are the other only undefeated side left this weekend. What a game that promises to be. Tiefseetaucher looking very unfazed. Simple pop into the end zone, jumped in so nonchalantly, and Tiefseetaucher with a commanding victory over a very good PUC side who have shown something this weekend. Wouldn't be the way that the French wanted to end it here in Padova, but Tiefseetaucher, you have to give them a lot of credit because they have demonstrated why they are looking to step up in the mixed division this season, fill the void that's been left by some of the kind of the longer term powerhouses moving on. Grut going single gender this season, Smog from the UK, European challenger for many years, they've gone single gender as well, and there's maybe a little bit of a gap there for a new side to try and contend at the top of this division, and Tiefseetaucher are putting an early name on that spot. Plenty of action still to come here this weekend, not only from Padova, but from all our other spring invites as well. Of course, as we mentioned, we've got action from Grenoble, Malmo, London and Brno. So make sure you keep your eyes locked here on Solid Sport. We're going to take a little break. I'm moving over to Grenoble, but the wonderful Steph Rapazza will be taking you through the last days of the game here in Padova. Huge thanks to Felix from OTTV for providing the production for this game. Watching coverage of the EUF Spring Invite Padova here on Solid Sport. The final score, Tiefseetaucher 15, PUC 6. We'll see you on the other side.